All right, everybody, welcome into the Cardinal Sportscast. It's your host, Connor Shea. Hope everyone had a lovely Mother's Day. We're joining you kind of later than usual, just with all of the happenings over the weekend, as well as we did have a commit yesterday. So we were on commitment watch, wanted to see what came through. Luckily, that was some good news. Dave will get into that a little bit later, but want to bring in the guys first. Speaking of Dave, how are you? And how's your mother?
Mom's good. I'm good. No one cares. Let's go.
Ty, what's up?
I love when Dave's in a good mood. So that's what we have to look forward to.
No one
Me
cares.
too. This will be
No one
fun.
cares how we're doing. You know what I mean? It's so basic and shop worn to do the, hey guys, how you doing? No one cares. Yo, Dave's here, Ty's here. Let's go.
All right, let's get to it. So, Dave, you put out a massive offensive big board today. I think a lot of people have been waiting on that. We don't want to give away too much of our premium info, but Dave, I'll let you tease some of it.
Yeah, I did a big in-depth piece where I list all the players that Louisville is targeting, skill position players that they actually have a chance for. I rated them, their temperature on the board, whether it was hot, warm, lukewarm, cold, cool, whatever. There's about 25 guys on there with a ton of information that I spent a long time getting. And if you want to check it out, it's $8.99 a month to subscribe to cardinalsports.com. I'm not giving you my hard work for free. If you can't afford $8.99 a month, I probably don't want to interact with you on a human level.
One thing that was really cool about the board that you did, Dave, and we mentioned it before we hopped on here, was I liked how you did a breakdown of not only the schools that are interested, but how each recruit kind of fits into the schools that Louisville's up against. And kind of just getting a breakdown on, is this school really in the mix for this player, or are they just messing around right now? That was a really cool take.
Yeah, I did that for the running backs mostly because, we'll get into why Louisville missed on high rivals 4-star Corey Kiner from Cincinnati. So what I did was I went through the list and I said, all right, this kid lists the top 8, and I hate top 8s. I hate top 10s. A kid can only go to one school. So I find dropping a top 10 or a top 8 where you list a bunch of places you're not going to go, I find that to be an unnecessary flex. But kids do it, and whatever, I get paid to cover these kids doing top 8 and top 10. So I've been in a pretty cynical mood today because I'm tired of being in my house. So I just went through. I said, you're not going here because they got, like one kid listed South Carolina, and he's a running back. I said, they just got a 5-star last year. They had another 3-star, and they got a back this year. So you're not going there. You're not a take. And if you do go there, you're stupid and you'll never play. So, you know what I mean? That's what I put on the thing. That's how I did it. And whatever. I don't care anymore how people take what I write. No one reads it anyway because they can't afford $8.99 a month in the middle of a global recession.
Well, if you can't afford $8.99 a month, be sure to check out Dave's awesome piece at cardinalsports.com, as well as our premium recruiting board on the site where Dave is always posting updates. Dave, let's talk about what we can talk about. Yesterday, we got a pretty good commit. Seems like he was kind of the main target of the defensive class so far.
Yeah, I was Ben Perry out of Illinois from Chicago. He was pretty much the main target, and the reason why is because he has so much position versatility, and position versatility is huge when you're recruiting a kid because he's not going to be pigeonholed into one thing, and if he can't do that one thing, well, you got a worthless player on your roster taking up a scholarship. He can move back to safety. He could play free. He could play strong. He could play outside linebacker, inside linebacker, or the guard position. He could do a lot of different things. He's one of those positionless players that you kept hearing about on the NFL draft. So he's a big win. The problem with him, I did an interview with him, made that one free because it's a commitment article. So whenever we get a kid, no one cares. They just want to look at the Twitter announcement and call it a day. So, I'll make those free because no one reads those anyway. People don't want to know who just committed. They just want to know who's going to commit. And once the kid commits, they kind of forget about him. Unfortunately, Ben Perry isn't going to be a kid that you could just forget about if you're on the Louisville coaching staff. You're going to have to keep recruiting him as if he's not committed. He told Josh Helmholtz in the article that he was basically just saying, look, a lot of other kids are committing, and I decided it's best for me to save my spot now before I lose it. So to me, that just sounds kind of like a placeholder commitment. He also told me that he would take his other visits. to other schools once that capability is available. But the staff was kind of telling them, like, hey, look, take your visits, make sure you're sure. There's no point in committing now if you're just going to decommit later. But he said he was sure, and he said, now I'm ready to go. I asked him why he committed to Louisville. He said, I like Scott Satterfield's vision. And I was like, oh, that sounds great if you added more to it, but I can't put that in an article. So I said, explain that for me. And he goes, well, powerhouse offense, powerhouse defense. They just need good players. And with good character is what he added.
I like that one.
Character, right. So that's what he said. I don't know what that means.
Not a lot to chew on there.
Need good players for a powerhouse offensive defense. They have to have good character too. But, he likes the coaching staff. He called Court Dennison an up-and-coming coach, which I believe to be true. And that's him. He's from Mount Carmel, I believe the name of the place is that he's from in Chicago.
Yeah.
And, yes, but you're right. He was a huge focal point for the staff, linchpin.
Well, let me ask you, so with the card position that he's assumed to be coming in and that's going to be his spot, do you think that each year when U of L is recruiting that whoever they're recruiting for that card position is going to be probably the most important defensive player they're going after?
No, not necessarily. Just this year. Because they had Rajay Burns playing that position this year. Rajay's like 6 foot. You need to do with length. So just think of the card as like the freak hybrid athlete dude. But he's not necessarily the most important, because the most important could be where they don't have a guy. Next year it's going to free safety, you could say, is important. Strong safety is just as important. But I think it's just that position is just the hardest to fill most of it. But if Ben Perry's the man next year, he won't be the most important. It'll be probably an edge rusher or something.
Right. Well, it's been interesting following his recruiting because, Minnesota has been on a tear lately. So they were getting in the mix, and it looked like he was even a Minnesota lean at one point. And then at the 11th hour, it seemed like Michigan State came knocking on the door as well.
Yeah, Mel Tucker, who told everybody he wasn't leaving Colorado, and then did take the job at Colorado on February 12th, 7 days after the final signing period. He decided to leave everybody at Colorado and come to Michigan State. So everybody that committed to Michigan State is not Mel Tucker's guy, right? So everyone that just signed is like, oh, man, what are we doing here, right? And everybody at Colorado is stuck out there in the middle of the mountains with the coach taking off for the high road. So whenever you see a coach tweet something like, oh, these kids aren't loyal, they don't know the term commitment. Like, look at when they left their school and how they did it. And if that coach did something like Mel Tucker, then just be like, look, man, you're a scumbag. Yo, nobody cares.
Has Tucker been saying that? Did he say that?
Yeah, man, Mel Tucker, man, look, man. Just watch out for the double speak from coaches. I don't know if Mel Tucker said that or not, but if you take a new job because you're getting more money and it helps your family and the timing of it might look scummy as hell, I really don't care. Just don't lecture me on things like commitment and family and all that stuff, because you're a maverick, you're a free agent, you're a total mercenary as well. So, don't act like you can look out for your best interest and make moves that may jeopardize other people's best interest, but nobody else can do it. You know what I mean? So anyway, Michigan State jumped in the mix. Minnesota, another jumper, PJ Fleck, rowed a boat from the MAC on down to the Big Ten. He was at Western Michigan and he was rowing the boat, and then he trademarked that saying and brought it with him down to Minnesota. They've been killing it on the recruiting trail. They've got like 16 commits, but they're all over. Their average is 3.13, meaning they're getting decent players. They're not just taking anybody with a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
And they're actually ranked 8th in the country. That'll fall off by when
just because of the capacity that they have right now.
It's just the pure numbers. Whatever you see the team rankings as right now in May, it's pretty spurious. It's not a true representation of the final end game, unless it's a school like Tennessee or somebody like that that's just killing it with a bunch of 4 stars. Like, they'll probably finish top 10. North Carolina could finish top 10, but Auburn and teams like that, they're still way down. That always finish in the top 15. They're in like 40s or something right now. So they'll shoot up once they start getting their guys. And hopefully Louisville will shoot up once they start getting a couple guys. But Perry's recruitment was interesting and will continue to be interesting because I don't think Minnesota cares about his verbal pledge to Louisville, nor do I think Mel Tucker does. So you're going to see, and other schools might jump in the mix. I mean, look at Ben Perry. You've seen him. He looks like $1 million. You know, all you got to do is go out and get to another campus and run around if they ever have a camp, or when you have season again, he dominates on film, and who knows, you know, Ohio State might come calling or somebody like that. You never know.
Yeah. So if you were going to put a percentage on this, how much would you say Louisville has a shot of locking him down throughout this whole process?
Well, he's already committed, so obviously they're in a good spot. I'd give him, 85%, But
okay, I'll take that.
There's always a chance that, somebody will come in and snatch you, like, Chubba Purdy last year, or
Right.
whatever, the Tavian Franks, the middle linebacker. I mean, it happens, but most of the kids that commit stay committed, right?
What about Big Country, Connor Shea?
Oh, my God.
That was a weird situation. So the kid's committed to Florida State, and the coach gets fired, Willie Taggart, so he reopens his commitment.
Ty, why did you bring this up?
He goes to Louisville for like 2 weeks, and then the new coach that gets hired is Mike Norville. He likes Mike Norville. Mike Norville gets him back on board, and Connor Shea has never recovered from this emotionally.
He was never coming to Louisville. Everyone knew that.
He wishes ill on the kid.
He was a mole. He came in, and he started recruiting. I'm going to put the Chubba Purdy flip on him. He came in, committed with Chubba Purdy, and then he said, Chubba, why don't you come down with me down to Tallahassee? It's Big Country's fault. I hate that kid. I don't hate him, but he's one of my least favorite recruits in recent memory.
That rustling you hear from him is him taking the tinfoil out of the box to put on his freaking head right now. But,
oh, God. Dave,
so
please.
Let's talk about Corey Kiner. Okay.
Let's talk about him.
We were waiting for Corey Kiner to make it official that he was going to LSU. I knew that he was going to LSU a couple of days ago because he called Louisville and told them, I'm not coming there. But here's what happened. So Kiner was leaning towards Louisville for about two months. Right?
It was a long time.
He's visited Louisville 4 times. He's been to South Floyd Street 4 times. He's come to games. He's got a great relationship with the staff. They've been recruiting him.
He's in Cincinnati, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it. Keep going.
He's in Cincinnati, right? And so he's been here 4 times, or maybe more, who knows. But, basically he's been here more than any other school, more than he's even been to Cincinnati. And great relationship with the staff. He puts out a tweet that, I'm going to commit on June 4th, right? So then out of nowhere, Wilt Fong drops some information saying that, Louisville's out. And so our board starts going crazy like, hey, why did the other site say we're out of it for Corey Kiner? And I'm chilling. I was like doing some legal work. And I'm like, great, let me stop everything I'm doing to find out why this kid all of a sudden isn't going to Louisville. And I talked to some of my sources, and in the morning, on a Monday morning, he calls and said, last week he calls and says, hey, appreciate everything. It's not you, it's me. Thanks. And I'm going somewhere else. So apparently he had a Zoom visit. With LSU. And out of nowhere, LSU's just like, yeah, you could commit. Come on down. And I am going to show y'all this right now. Here is the exclusive.
Oh, God.
Josh, my boy Josh did with Corey Kiner. So let me get this up on the site so I can blow this up full screen. All right.
Let me preface this by this is not weird at all.
Rivals Midwest analyst Josh Helmholtz. I'm here with 4-star running back Corey Kiner out of Roger Bacon High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. Corey, welcome in.
How you doing, sir?
Big day for you. Everybody's interested to know, where are you going to take your talents? Where are you going to continue your college and academic career? So the floor is yours. Tell us what your plans are and which team is going to get your the opportunity to coach you up the next few years.
Well, after long consideration of other schools and hard work from my family and I, we've decided that for the next few years, I'm going to be taking my academic and athletic talents to Louisiana State University.
Going to the national champions. And I got to imagine this was an interesting process for you with the entire recruiting shutdown occurring right in the middle of when you wanted to take some visits. But when exactly did you know that LSU was there a moment that you knew that LSU was going to be the pick for you?
I mean, I saw qualities in other schools that I absolutely loved, but then at one point, like, I saw everything that I loved in LSU times 10, and it's just like the relationship that I built with Coach Falk and Coach O and other coaches on the staff in a short period of time, it's just, it's unmatched. Like, the longer relationships I've had, it can't be beaten by what I have with LSU. And just how comfortable I feel and myself being coached by those guys is just amazing.
You mentioned Kevin Falk, and a lot of people I've heard you compare your style of play to them, and I certainly, who they had last year, thought Edwards-Helaire is a guy who has a similar explosive running style like you do. Where are you looking from a fit standpoint in that offense? What do you see in terms of how your skill set matches what LSU does with the running back position?
I see a little bit of myself in Clyde, but as far as fitting the offense,
All right, that's enough right there. Because
What?
I
Does he know anything about LSU, actually?
So here's what he says. All right, these are his words, okay? After long consideration of other schools.
God.
Does that mean like he was considering going to another school for a long time and it just on the drop of a dime?
I guess.
After a magnificent Zoom call, commit to LSU. Also, here's my favorite part. Well, there's two parts. He says, and I quote, "I saw everything that I loved at LSU." No, he said, "I loved a lot of things about this other school, but I saw everything that I loved at LSU times 10. Man, that had to be one hell of a Zoom call. Like, they must have had technology that lets you touch, feel, taste things. You know what I mean? Because you said you saw things that you loved at other schools, but then at LSU, you saw that by 10 times? 10 times?
One Zoom call.
One Zoom call, right. And
4 visits to U of L, lives in Cincinnati, one Zoom call with LSU.
And he said, one of the things that really stood out to me that he said that I was kind of cringed, he goes, "The longer relationships I have can't be beat by LSU." And
Ouch.
I was like, what do you mean they can't be beat by LSU? You mean you mean the other way around, all right?
What does that mean?
It means that I don't know what
Big
it means.
fish eat little fish. That's what it means.
It means what?
Big fish eat little fish.
I don't know, man, but one Zoom visit.
That's impressive. Well done, LSU.
Later on in the video, he says, you know, I'm watching it. I turn to my mom and I turn to my dad. I ask them if I can commit. And they're like, yeah, go ahead if that's what you want to do. And then he tells Kevin Falk, hey, I want to commit. Kevin Falk's like, no, wait, you serious? And he gets all happy. And he said he got happy like they just won a game. And I was just like, man, it must be nice to be a recruit for LSU. You know, you don't even have to host a kid. You don't got to take him out to a stupid restaurant. But his whole family and sit there and sell them anything. You just sit here like we're sitting, or you walk them through the weight room. You're going down to the chow hall, and you say, you know, we are go LSU, catch that tiger. And he's like, you know what? You caught this tiger, coach. I'm committing right now without even driving dinner. But maybe you're right. You guys were saying, will this be the future of recruiting? Look, it's definitely.
That's not what I meant. This is not what I meant at all.
Definitely the most economically viable way for a big-time school to do it. You know what I mean? It is. If you could just go on, like, think about all the time and resources that Louisville had to spend on, maybe not resources, but at least time recruiting Corey Kiner, you know? Meanwhile, LSU sends out an edit, and then they're just like, hey, man, give us a call. We'll do a virtual tour on Zoom real quick. And then the kid commits.
It's unreal.
Strange things are afoot down in the Bayou, for sure.
You could say that, yes.
I mean, My thing is, I mean, does he see the field there? Is he that good?
How many kids did you fly over to get? I guess you didn't do anything. I guess you don't need. My argument was going to be, how many kids did you fly over to get the Corey Kiner in Ohio? But the answer is 0, because you just logged into your freaking phone. And
That's what I'm saying, because Cincinnati was saying, like, oh, LSU has a footprint in Ohio now because of Joe Burrow. Like, no, it was a Zoom call. They didn't have boots on ground in Cincinnati going after this kid. It was a Zoom call.
Maybe you don't need it. I mean, I guess that's one of the perks of winning the national championship. But here's the thing. LSU ain't even ranked high right now, I don't think. Now, I told you don't worry about the team rankings because that doesn't matter. But at this point in time, I mean, it'll matter later, I guess. But they haven't actually been, like, reeling in the dudes. And I guess Corey Kiner's – I mean, they're going after Louisville and Cincinnati targets. So I guess it's –
right.
You love who you love, I guess. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Maybe it's just like, hey, they're 12th actually right now. That Kiner commitment boosted them up a lot. Actually,
Yeah.
Their average star ranking's like 3.4. That's because they got a kicker. Never mind. the kicker's like just dropping their anchors so bad. But no, they have a nice little class right now. But most of their kids, Texas, Georgia, Texas, Florida, Louisiana is the kicker, Cali, Mississippi, and Miami, and then you got Cincinnati, Ohio. So that's kind of like the outlier there. But, I mean, if they like the dude, they like the dude, and if you don't have to spend a dime to get him.
Wink, wink. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Hey, cool. Now, he's definitely going to go take his official visit down there. I wouldn't doubt that. And
Right.
Same thing with the Travion Ford situation. People are like, well, is he going to stick with Mizzou? And is he going to take more visits when it's open up? My answer to that would be, why would Corey Kiner take another visit to Louisville? He's been here 4 times. Like, it's the other schools you need to worry about, not necessarily.
That's what I'm saying. If I could get a free trip to Louisiana and get a little bit of crawfish etouffee, I'm going to take that trip.
I mean, that's cool. But he's committing there over the Zoom call because that Zoom call opened.
That's unreal.
Made him realize that, LSU had everything he loved times 10. That was a great Zoom. Man, shout out to Kevin Falk, former LSU.
He must be amazing at recruiting.
He was. I mean, he killed the Eagles in the Super Bowl, man. I'll never forget that. That was the Tom Brady versus – remember Donovan McNabb's throwing up? All they did –
Yes.
Jim Johnson was one of the most aggressive defensive coordinators in the NFL, and he would just send pressure after Brady, and all they would do was leak Kevin Falk out of the backfield, and Brady would just underhand shovel it to him, and he'd go.
That must have been what sold him, though. Maybe that's all Corey Kiner needed to see. But thank you, Dave, for that. Dave, is there anything else we got on the recruiting front that we should be aware of?
T. Will's son, Ja Ray Williams, he's a 4-star linebacker prospect out of Washington State. This is me giving out free information. This is not the type of stuff that's on the board for $8.99, but I just put it out there today. I think that he's on the verge of committing to Louisville. I put my future cast in for him, and I think that he'll be the next one to jump on board. He's also one of those players with versatility. He can play the card if need be, and you can move Ben Perry around somewhere else, or he could play the dog, which is the other outside linebacker spot. He might even be able to play inside. Who knows? And then James Jackson is a kid from Roanoke, Virginia, who Court Dennison has been on. He was kind of unheard of, and then today picked up offer from Stanford, which
nice.
Stanford doesn't offer. They give out the least amount of offers every year.
Yeah, they're super selective.
Well, it's not that the coaching staff is necessarily super selective. It's that they don't really care that you're an athlete. Like Michigan will give you some kind of leeway if you're an athlete on the GPA front, on the ACT front. Stanford's is like you still got to get like a 27 ACT to get in there, even if you play sports. So they don't bother wasting their time because kids can't really qualify anyway.
Right.
But if the kid does qualify, all you gotta do is hit them on Zoom.
God.
Yeah, let me jump in there for a second. This James Jackson kid, his offer list when Louisville offered was very slim, and actually didn't have very many D1 offers. And the last 2 days, he's picked up Stanford and West Virginia. So if Louisville, got on him early, maybe that's, a benefit. But it looks like some of the bigger schools are coming after him now.
Would you say West Virginia is a bigger school?
I mean,
I'd say Louisville and West Virginia are schools that we want to go toe and toe against. Obviously, you get an offer like Stanford. I mean, Louisville and West Virginia can't exactly compete with those academics, but I'd say if going up against West Virginia, that's good competition.
Well, one of the things that I got, excuse me, one of the things that I got from doing the hot board was Louisville's competing with a lot of Duke prospects, right? A lot of players that Duke is targeting. And I spoke to one of my sources about it, and he was like, yeah, that's the kind of kid that Satterfield goes after, they've got the ability to get into a Duke, even a Stanford, as you see. And I think App State was kind of hard to get into, believe it or not. So that's just the good players on offense and defense with good character that Ben Perry was talking about,
Oh, my God.
You're going after those type of dudes.
All right, Dave, is that it? What else you got? Anything else that we need to know on the recruiting front? Do we have an ETA on the Jere Williams announcement or any decision?
I was told a few days ago, like a week and a half. So I'm assuming it would be like this weekend, but that's tentative, as all things are in recruiting. And who knows, like, as I'm saying this, my phone might go off and be like, hey, don't talk about Jere. He pushed it back. But that's how it works, man.
Right. Well, thank you, Dave. Appreciate the update on that. We'll kind of move over into the college basketball world where things have been quite interesting the last week. Ty, I know that you've been wrapped up in a lot of it. Not sure what you want to touch on first, but I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into the weeds with the notice of allegations, but obviously since we last talked, the Louisville did receive the notice of allegations, and a lot of that has kind of put the 2021 class in a tailspin, I guess maybe a good word. The staff has just started slinging offers in a flurry this past week or so. I think they're still, going after some of those guys that were on their initial board, but I think they're casting a wider net, as these allegations came out. And that's kind of put a damper on their chances with some of the guys ranked high on their board. I actually put out an update on the premium recruiting board about Bryce Hopkins, their current commitment for 2021. I was told he's definitely thinking about opening things up. You can read the rest of my report on the board.
Is that because of the NOA?
Yeah, I mean, this just the sanctions of obviously hanging over the program, and I was told that Mac has been telling recruits all the way back to January that this is coming. But again, read that on the premium recruiting board.
Coming.
Yeah, I mean they knew as far back as January that this.
What I'm asking you is what or Shay, you tell me, what is the punishment going to be? What are they looking at here?
So I don't know what the punishment is going to be, but the way that the NCAA works, we are on it's going to take another 10, 12 months before a decision comes down on anything. So Louisville's, I think, is very likely going to still play in the NCAA tournament in 2021. It's just whatever happens after that, there's no telling. I mean, it could be you might see a 1 or 2 year postseason ban up to anything, whatever you can really imagine beyond that. We have no idea. But the next year is Louisville safe.
What's the purpose of that? Just pure punishment on who? The president?
What, postseason bans?
No. What I'm saying is the president is gone, the AD is gone, the head coach is gone, all the players are gone, the other assistant coaches are gone. Literally everyone that had their hand in that has been fired.
Right.
They self-imposed. The banner's been taken down for other things, but same characters who committed the violations that are listed in this notice of allegations, they're all gone. So what are you going to do? You're just going to punish the kids?
You're preaching to the choir here. Eric Crawford put out an interesting article, and he had an interesting, I guess, he was proposing how you could go about punishing the university without punishing the players who are involved. And basically what he said was give Louisville, and Ty, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but he was saying that give Louisville a 3-year postseason ban, but then you immediately suspend that ban and say, we're not going to do this right now, but you guys are on probation for the next 4 years. If you mess up any time under that with this whole new staff and regime, if you mess up again, we're putting in this 3-year postseason ban, then you all are seriously in trouble. But just kind of have that hammer hanging over someone's head. I think that's a fantastic idea. It's a way to get away with not hurting any of the players right now, but it also shows the school that you're extremely serious about what's been going on, and that there's no room to mess up again.
As a defense attorney, that's called a hammer clause. And sometimes you'll hear one of your defendants who are absolutely desperate say, hey, give me one of them hammer claws. That's a terrible idea. I would not recommend, if I was Louisville's counsel, I would not recommend taking that deal. I would say, no, you've already endured the punishment that fits the crime. Punishment should be set up for, it should be a just punishment. In this case, what it seems like the NCAA is doing is trying to raise the flag high enough so the thieves in the back of the line can see what happens to those in the front. But what are we talking about? Everybody cheats in this. Zion Williamson you think Zion Williamson's stuff coming down at Discovery isn't going to be a smoking gun? So to me, it's trash. It's like legislating, making marijuana illegal. Everybody smokes it. But when we catch certain individuals, we're going to punish them more than the other. So I don't know. It just seems like selective enforcement. And it was already stuff. I wouldn't take nothing. I wouldn't take a deal on that. I'd take it to trial. I'd take it to an administrative hearing. I would appeal until all my resources were exhausted. Because I'm not doing a hammer clause. Screw you. Everyone.
The interesting thing is that they've opened up the way that they're handling this now. It used to be that you could just appeal with the NCAA, but now the NCAA, through the Rice Commission, they've set up this whole new system that is outside of the actual NCAA realm. And Ty, I know that you know a lot about this too, but basically, if you don't want to appeal through the NCAA, there's another route that you can take that doesn't have those big wig suits from the NCAA in it. It's a lot of former athletic directors, coaches, and players and stuff like that, people and business people. So people that know what it's like to actually be in those shoes and be on the receiving end of the NCAA. That's the route they can take. Again, we don't want to get too deep into the weeds on this, but Ty, I'll let you comment and kind of give your opinion on what really your main takeaway from everything was.
Yeah, the system that you're talking about, I actually think that's the route that I would prefer Louisville to take. Is actually the IARP, the Independent Accountability Resolution Process. And from what I understand, if you do go that route, whatever decision they come up with is final. There's no appeal. So as far as the 2013 case, Louisville got the punishment and then they appealed that punishment. If they were to go the IARP route this time around, whatever punishment they get, they're stuck with. But on the flip side, you're not dealing with anybody connected with the NCAA per se. If I'm Louisville, that's the route that I would go.
So your options are you can appeal through the NCAA. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you can appeal through the NCAA, and then if you don't like the NCAA's decision, like Dave said, you can just take them to court and just drag that out as long as you want. Or you can take a gamble, go with people that might, see your side more than the NCAA would, but like you said, the decision would be final. So, I mean, it kind of is a gamble, no?
Yeah, then that was a good way of explaining it. So Louisville has 90 days to submit a response. They hired Mike Glazier, who's a well-known name. He's worked for Missouri, North Carolina, and he's actually
Dave, do you know who Mike Glazier is?
Sounds familiar.
He's the North Carolina attorney. He's the one that got him off the hook for paid classes or fake classes.
The similarly situated individuals.
Yes.
Now, the student athlete can take it, so can the non-student athlete. So it's cool.
Yeah, so U of L has him on the payroll. Ty, I'll let you keep going.
Yep, so that's who they hired there. So 90 days to submit a response. I think they've been working on this before the notice actually officially came in. I think, based on what I've been told as far as what they've been telling recruits, that they've known about this, they knew it was coming. So hopefully they got a head start on everything. Back into the recruiting, Louisville has offered, I think the number is up to 4 or 5 2021 guys in the last couple weeks. Jordan Hawkins is a guard out of DeMatha. He actually got an offer from Louisville. He's a top 55 prospect in the 2021 class. And then Louisville offered a guy that's come on the radar here recently at point guard, Bobby Pettiford Jr. He's only a 3-star, but his film is very impressive. He actually picked up an offer from Providence as well. So his name is starting to emerge. And then 2 more names Louisville offered would be a local kid from Aspire Academy, actually a native of Senegal, Mohamed Lamine and Bayou. Louisville was actually the first school to offer him. And a lot of fans kind of got into a little bit of a commotion on that offer, just because it seems like Louisville is starting to offer kids, outside of the top 150, not in that 4 to 5-star range that Louisville basketball fans want to see. So what's
your take? What's your take on that? I mean, obviously Chris Mack is in a very, I'm not going to say very unique, because something can't be uniquely unique, but he has a cloud hanging over him. And how much can we actually criticize him for, reaching outside? Because usually U of L is kind of the opposite of football, where usually they don't cast that wide of a net and they're kind of selective with who they go after.
Right.
But how much of this is on Chris Mack, and how much of it is just he's going to have to stick this out for maybe a couple of years before he really gets to recruit with the cups taken off?
Yeah, I've really struggled with this one, because I don't think he gets a free pass, but I also don't think that this is a good measuring stick for how well he can recruit. I think it's somewhere in between. In the 2020, his first class on campus, I think that was a little bit of a oddball, just because it was his first year. The allegations were very new. No one really knew what was going to happen. I think he was able to recruit more freely, and I think the 2020 class, this past class, I think that's when it really caught up with him. Louisville landed 2 kids. Both of them ended up being right around 90 to 100 in the rankings. That's not normal for Louisville basketball. And in this,
but to be fair though, 2 recruits after a 6-person recruiting class. What are you really going to do with those guys?
Yeah, that's fair. But there was a 5 or 6 point guards that Louisville missed on. Christian Lander, they were on for a huge while, and they lost him to Indiana. And then in this 2021 class, they're offering a ton of kids. They actually just offered another kid on Friday from California, which you don't see Louisville do very often. They went out to the West Coast and offered a guard from California out there. He's a 4-star, Jemiah Maschak. He's actually 78 in the country. And the only schools on him really are Pac-12 schools and West Coast schools. So I'm curious as to where Louisville –
Time out. You mean to tell me that a kid from California is getting recruited by the schools that are near where he lives? That's guy. That is groundbreaking stuff. That is brand new. I'm used to people from Louisiana recruiting people from Ohio, but you're telling me that somebody that lives on the West Coast is being recruited by schools that play basketball on the West Coast. That's amazing. My question to you is, why is Louisville recruiting kids in California to play point guard for them? Did they miss on that many kids?
Well, yeah, I think that's what I was getting at there. I wonder, just how this kid came on the radar. It's nobody else is offering him that's, pretty much near Louisville geographically.
Not a national recruit. He's a regional guy.
Yeah. So it's very interesting to see, what direction this 2021 class goes.
So you think they're missing on all these guys because of the NOA? Do you think that's really what it is? Do you think that is the overarching theme on the number of missions? Because a lot of the narrative you hear from fans is Chris Mack can't recruit on this level. But just a year ago, they got the Super Six, right? And recruiting is very much a what have you done for me lately type of game, man. So with the NOA, let me ask you this, because I know that Shay said he don't want to get in the weeds on this, but why not? What else we talking about in the middle of a global pandemic? So are you telling me that because Louisville has this thing coming down the pike from what, 2000 and what was this, 17, 16? I don't remember.
17, I believe.
This is the Brian Brown stuff was 2017, right? So and Shay, I throw this out to both of y'all. So when you hear this hammer clause situation, this probation period where, if they screw up, they get banged for a 3-year postseason ban, which would absolutely destroy the basketball program without question. Like, that's a death penalty. 3 years? What kid's going to come here? But you do you think that an appeal would drag out so long that it would have the same effect that you were seeing now? Because an appeal of an administrative law case, right, you have to exhaust all administrative remedies. So that means you would have to go through the appellate, or you would have to go through the punishment process with the NCAA, lose, then go to an appellate review within the administrative agency, the state administrative agency, lose that. And then after exhausting all your administrative remedies, you would have to file in state or federal court for an appeal, right? And the problem with state and federal review is there's standards of review. De novo is the one you want to get. De novo review means that the court is looking at the case from the facts and the legal theories as if it's a brand new thing in front of them, right? So you got to keep a good record. If you don't keep a good record, you're screwed. But they will keep a good record. Everybody will do that. But that review isn't granted usually in these administrative reviews in state and federal court. So my question to you is, when you say that—
You have a question? There was a question in there?
Yeah, my question to you is, with Eric Crawford's thing, a 3-year death penalty, if you get another infraction, a 3-year death penalty, or would it be better to just fight it out through the entire review process in light of recruiting?
Ty, who should take this one first?
I'll let you go first. I was actually focused on as we're speaking, Louisville just offered another kid in the 2021 class.
All right, hold that thought.
Let me come a question down for you, okay?
Oh, my God. How many questions are there? You just explained the whole judicial system.
I asked you what you thought, and like a coward, you said, oh, let me ask Ty. And then Ty goes, oh, you know what? They just offered another recruit. So, like, either answer the question or maybe
I'll take it.
All right.
Hope everyone was paying attention in Polly's side, by the way. If not, Dave just gave you a great explanation of the entire judicial system. But, Dave, thank you for that. But I would say that Louisville wants to get this over as soon as possible. I think that, this has been going on since like 2014 or something like that, just all of the scandals and everything, and just constantly being under the cloud of the NCAA. I think that, and Eric Crawford's idea was, it's kind of a novel one. Usually the NCAA has never done anything like that. They usually just punish people that weren't involved later on, just like they did a couple years ago to U of L. So I think that if Louisville has the opportunity to get this over with and have the light at the end of the tunnel in sight finally, they'll just take that. They'll say, okay, you know what, just give us the hammer clause, as you said, and just let's have it all done with. That way we can stop getting negatively recruited against, and we can go to recruits and tell them definitively, this is what it's going to be, and this is how it's going to go moving forward. That way people can stop. Can you even imagine trying to recruit with all of the stuff that's been going on and just what other schools have been telling players about, like U of L is going to get the death penalty. You don't even want to consider going there. I can't imagine as a coaching staff how you even handle just addressing rumors nonstop.
Are you familiar? What did you major in? Economics? You're an economics guy, right?
I got my MBA.
Okay, so you understand how market behavior determines what people do, right?
Yes,
so
Dave.
Because Louisville can't pay a kid for the next 3 years, and if they do, they don't go to, or however long the probationary period is. You didn't explain how long the probationary period is. You just
okay, so the proposal was hammer clause. You get a 3-year postseason ban if it drops, but you're under that probation for 4 years. That was Eric Crawford's proposal.
So for 4 years, the rest of the country is going to say, oh, you know what? Poor Louisville. they can't recruit like we recruit anymore. Let's be fair to Louisville. And
Are you saying schools pay players, Dave?
I'm just saying, look, you all saw the documentary. We you know what's, I'm just saying, I think that that's a terrible idea because in effect, it's still going to have a crippling effect on recruiting, just as if it was still if the NOA.
So okay. So as a attorney, your recommendation would be to drag this out and fight it out, even with all the negative recruiting that can go on, just as long as you're able to.
Yeah, because what the other
ball.
negative recruiting is going to be, we'll give you $50,000 and a Nike con. The NIL is about to come up, so maybe that's the silver lining right there. When the NIL comes up, maybe it's going to be fine for.
Well, isn't that the
pay a kid? So if the rule's going to get passed where like it's cool to pay a kid for their name, image, and likeness, then I guess you don't have anything to worry about violating probation. So then I would advise my client, look, you don't have to worry about violating because all you got to do is name, image, and likeness to get them on campus to compete with the other schools. So if that's the case, I'd say, yeah, take the hammer clause because you're not going to violate anyway.
I'll give credit where credit's due. That's actually an extremely good point. I hadn't even considered because we were all joking about, the ironic part of all of this is, U of L's in trouble for the shoe company giving him money. But in a couple months here, that might be legal.
If it's cool for Adidas to throw him $150,000 or whatever, then that's fine. And I don't think that you're going to see every kid getting $150,000 because alarmists are always the one to go to the full out extent, right? They'll say,
right.
oh, well, now Nike's going to get all the kids because Phil Knight. It's stupid business practice to just throw around money to 18-year-old kids. Like again, market value dictates what the market is, and they're not going to just run around and be like, Zion Harmon, you're 5'9", so you're worth $59,000. Here, go to West Kentucky. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I got you.
You're going to be
No, that's a good point, though. I think, and like I said, it's a really good point that U of L can say, we'll take the hammer clause because what we've been getting in trouble for is no longer a thing.
Right.
So you might have, Ty, I know that.
Here's the
go
problem.
ahead, Dave.
How does the criminal mind exploit the NIL? For instance, money laundering, right? You're going to see a lot of.
God.
I mean,
it's a Pandora's box, but I want to see it happen.
I can't wait for the chaos. That's what
it'll be amazing.
I don't like the hammer clause in general because if this has been a seedy industry going back to forever ago, right? You don't want to be like, okay, you can't participate in the same market that everyone else participates. You can't swim in the same waters as everyone else swims in because the results are still going to be piss poor. And this is a zero-sum game. This is America. How dare you commit the ultimate cardinal sin of being a loser? I'm serious. This dude brought in a Super 6 class last year, and then he's missing on dudes this year, and everybody's ready to fire the guy, right? So it's like, he lost like 6 games, and it's like death by economic destruction. So, how dare you be a loser in America? And you're competing against other cutthroats in this. It's no honor among thieves. So if you're handicapped with a crippling punishment for conducting business in the market as the market is, you're setting yourself up for failure. I just appeal the hell out of it. Call it a day. And go on giving Adidas commercials or Papa John's commercials. Is Papa John out? Is he done?
He's no longer working with his own Papa John's Incorporated, I believe.
Well, they still sell it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so maybe, with him gone, though, and the hammer is.
Papa John's is still, they're still a big partner with the university. They just don't have their name on the building anymore.
Who's Louisville going to get to sell their name, image, and likeness for them?
Patty Swope. We'll get all the – that's what it's going to be in the Deep South. You're just going to see dealerships everywhere. Mississippi State, they're going to be like, come on down to the dealership. We have this player. He's selling you the car out front. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, you're going to see Ben Perry on a Morgan & Mortgage, Morgan commercial. Like
he'll be on the back of Tarks and everything.
I can't wait, man. It's going to be a total dookie show.
Uh-oh. Did we run off Ty?
That's all right, man.
All right.
Ty was amazed that a kid Louisville was recruiting from the West Coast had nothing but West Coast offers. That was
I think what he was getting at, and I'll play devil's advocate for Ty, was that I think basketball is sometimes a little more regionalized than football, because football, there's only so many players. Basketball, there's a million players.
Is it though? There's
I mean, so yeah,
there's way more players in football than in basketball.
I know, but okay, so I'm actually interested in that. So if you have an 85-man roster, and then basketball has a 15-man roster, but you have 360 basketball teams and 130 football teams. Okay, yeah, football has way more players.
Good Lord, brother, you have a. Where'd you go to school again?
We're not bringing this up again.
Did you go to Northern Kentucky? Is that what's happening right here, bro?
No.
Come on. The Louisville football team, there's like 85 kids on the Louisville football team that just recorded a 3.0 GPA. I don't know if you could make the academic cut for the Louisville football team, brother. Not with those math skills, man. But listen, there's a national recruit is a national recruit is a national recruit. It doesn't matter if it's baseball, football, or basketball, okay? If USC comes calling for you, then USC comes calling for you, no matter if you live in Tuscaloosa or Temecula, okay? It doesn't matter, all right? So in basketball, you're going to have guys. Where's Kevin Durant from? He's from D.C. Where'd he go? Texas, right? That's not in his –
Sure.
That's all the way across the freaking water, right? So sure, do most kids stay home? Yeah, most kids in every sport go to the big school near them, right? But sometimes – you want to get away from mom and dad. You want to go across the country, and it happens.
What I am curious about with this player that Ty was talking about was U of L just got a grad transfer out of San Francisco. So I wonder, do they actually have California ties perhaps? I mean, maybe they can shack up with Bill Murray whenever they're out on the West Coast or something, but I wonder if they actually have any ties to the West Coast.
Bill Murray can use these kids to advertise for any new projects he's in.
Oh my God.
That's family, right? Isn't
yeah, that's true.
Bill Murray's tied to Chris Mack. What is he?
Say that again.
What is Bill Murray to Chris Mack?
What do you mean?
Like, why is Bill Murray always?
Why is he? Oh, his son. So Bill Murray's son is an assistant coach on the staff. Did you not know that?
No, I knew that. I just wanted to see if you knew that. That's why.
Oh, well, of course I know. I didn't know if the football guy would know about it, though.
I had no idea what I was saying. No, I had no idea. That's why I asked you, and you're like, I don't know. What do you mean? Rephrase it in a dumber way. All right, there you go. Bill Murray. Throw some of that Bill Murray money around to the NLI. Just.
Oh God.
I can't wait for this. You don't understand.
It's going to be crazy. I think the nice thing about it is that we're going to get what we've always wanted, where the players are getting what they're hopefully worth, right? We're going to be really happy about that. But how you enforce it, I'm not even going to try to imagine how you control any of that.
Don't you love the ambiguity? That's why there's lawyers in the world, because everyone says, "Oh, it's black and white." No, it's not. It's extremely.
No. Okay, so how does that work though? So like the shoe companies, like I know that. So in the perfect world, with the Olympic model that would come in with the NIL, where players can go out and get their own sponsorships and everything. Can a Nike player just go and get an Adidas sponsorship if Adidas is wanting to pay more for him? Like, how's that going to work? Like, if you're at a Nike school and Adidas says, hey, we want you wearing our shoes, we want you in our advertisements, what do you do?
Right. That's a great question. But I think that what's going to happen with that is Adidas is going to say, whoa, what are you doing wearing these Nikes on our court? But what Nike will do is they'll be smart. They'll just say, hey, look, man, you can still wear the Adidas when you're at that school, but, here's an advertisement for us. But I think the schools are kind of like the sneaker companies will definitely get involved, but that's only going to be for the big time guys, the Zion.
Right.
So it's going to be, come to us and we'll go ahead and we'll throw you some big money. We'll get you this contract. But there's only going to be one of those, and it's going to be for any one of the Nike schools, right? So Duke, and is Kansas a Nike school?
No, they're Adidas.
North Carolina and Duke, right?
Jumpman, yep.
Nike's not going to care if you go to Duke or North Carolina because they're both Nike schools. So the school's not going to receive the benefit. The player's just going to receive the benefit to go to a Nike school, right?
So do you think that we'll actually see, though, like that corporate level getting involved, or is it going to be like, you know, the local dealerships and, you know, rallies just throwing out advertisements?
You're going to see the corporate level for someone like Zion Williamson, who had $1 million coming in the college. Might have had $1 million coming into college. I'm going to say a million followers on social media coming into college, right? That drives your brand. You know, you're talking
right.
about, 100 some people listen to our podcast. That's nothing. 100,000 people. Now we can sell ads for Moe's Crab Shack or Joe's Crab Shack or whatever.
Moe's Crab Shack.
Down there. But those are the ones that are going to be like, you know, so, all right, let's say Louisville is recruiting Deion Sanders' son, Shadur Sanders. He's a quarterback. He's from Texas. He's a dual threat. He's going to be the focal point, right? So you want Deion Sanders' son advertising Joella's chicken if you're Joella, right?
Do you get Deion Sanders with the package, though?
If you pay him, why not? You know, that's what it's going to be. You know, Shadur Sanders is going to get $50,000, and he'll be like, Pop, come on, Pop, I need this $50,000. Just show up and say 2 lines. Say,
right.
I'm good, or whatever Joella's freaking slogan is. And Deion pops in there. Shadur got $50,000 in his pocket. Where it gets dicey is, you know, your offensive line's out there busting their butt for you, doing everything to keep you upright and keep the uniform crispy. And you know, you got $50,000 and they ain't got nothing. You know, you're going to have to buy them some gifts. You know, they're going to have to eat together free while they're here in Louisville, right? So
yeah, it's going to be so wild. That just sounds incredible.
Where did Ty go, yo?
I have no idea, but let's talk about what Ty doesn't want us talking about. Let's talk about other schools.
End this and kill Ty's whole spot.
Okay, let's do it. All right, guys, we are signing off now. Ty is going to be so mad when he comes back and we're gone. All right, see y'all later.
What did you want to talk about?
Well, if you are we keeping the show going?
Yeah, man, keep the show
This
going.
is making for great radio. All right, so Ty hates when we talk about other schools, but that's my favorite thing to do with you. So let's talk about Tennessee. They are still killing it. They are on fire right now. What is happening? Okay, so I saw somewhere the other day, someone, I think you said it, was that they have like somebody had rated them like the top 3 recruiters in the country or something like that. And so like Tennessee is like some of the best recruiters that exist.
They got great Zoom technology, better than LSU.
Oh my God, we're not doing this again.
Zoom, baby. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be shocked to see Tennessee. I wouldn't be shocked to see Tennessee's class absolutely fall apart when these kids are allowed to go to other schools. You know,
seriously?
Would you?
I mean, you tell me. You're the expert.
People are bored. They're getting attention. I mean, they haven't seen that some of these kids haven't visited, and they're committing. Corey says, you know what? I don't feel like going to LSU. He goes down there and he doesn't like the smell of the Bayou. Some crazy dude hits him with something.
But I thought it was everything that he ever wanted.
Times 10.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That was everything he ever loved from the schools that he's from. But, no, Tennessee's killing it, right? And like I said, Pruitt was always a good recruiter. He got – matter of fact, this is funny. Jeremy Pruitt, when he was at Florida State, got Jalen Ramsey out of Tennessee to go to Florida State. So now he's back in Tennessee, and he's getting dudes from everywhere. And he's absolutely destroying everything that moves. I think they got Aaron Willis, who's a high 4-star linebacker.
They're all 4-stars. Everybody's a 4-star.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you got to recruit if you're in the SEC. You know, I mean, SEC schools should be 4-star heavy. You know, here at Louisville, you know, it's mostly 3 stars, but Tennessee, I don't know, man. Tennessee got a lot of 3 stars.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have 12 3 stars, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 4 stars, and no 5.
That's a lot of recruits for this early.
Well, they have 21. And I'm pretty
That's
sure
a full class almost.
And I'm sure they have 2 more coming, right? So they'll have 23 here by the end of May, I'm pretty sure. Because I just put my future cast in for 2 guys. I'm not going to say who they are because I don't remember off the top of my head. Somebody just was like, one of my contacts down there.
You're just getting your numbers up.
And one of my contacts down there said, yo, put in picks for these 2 guys. And I was like, all right, coach, gotcha. Appreciate it.
You're just trying to get your average up on that board.
You got to, because that's what matters. You know what I mean?
Speaking of players that may be going somewhere else, it was announced that Alabama and Tua Tagovailoa's brother is entering the transfer portal. It seems so in high school he was what, like a 4-star? And then now, I mean, do we have any idea where he might actually be looking?
He was a 4-star for sure. I don't know why. I guess I don't know, man. I have no
Name
idea.
recognition.
He to me didn't seem like a 4-star. But I think he's going to end up at like a mid-major, Florida FAU, Florida Atlantic University down there with old Willie Taggart.
I forgot that Willie Taggart was down there. I could have I guess this whole offseason was insane just with, Lane coming up to Mississippi State. Wait, Mississippi State, right?
Ole Miss.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Joe Moorhead got fired at Mississippi State. And
right. Leach is at – yes, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about how – I know that we keep changing subjects, but Mississippi is the most interesting sports state in the entire world. Just everything that happened from, peeing like a dog in the back of the end zone, resulting in 2 different firings, and then bringing in the 2 most interesting coaches in the entire sport.
Yeah. I mean, you summed it up right there. This kid does an end zone celebration where he does the dog pee. Was it Ole Miss or Mississippi State? It was Ole Miss. So
it was Ole Miss, and then they got backed up on the extra point, and they missed it.
It's the extra point. They lose. Then Joe Moorhead is preparing for a bowl game against Louisville, right? So some people are saying had Mississippi State just outright lost that game, they would have brought Joe Moorhead back, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Anyway, they go to play Louisville, and Mississippi State's quarterback gets his eye socket broken by a linebacker, and he's out for the game. And that team's in total disarray. And
they played the linebacker, though. The guy that punched him in the face still played.
I mean, Jordan punched Steve Kerr in the face. What you going to bench Jordan? The quarterback sucked all year anyway, and that linebacker was their best player. He got drafted in the 4th round. They were talking about that kid. Listen, they were talking about that kid in the draft, and they were like, look, he got suspended for 8 games last year because he had somebody else take his place.
Oh, my God.
So he had someone take an exam for him, gets suspended for 8 games, and then comes back for bowl practice, breaks the quarterback's eye socket, and then gets drafted in the 4th round. So when they tell you, character concerns, it's the sliding scale of life. If you got bad character, you better be real freaking good. You better be Vontaze Burfict.
Right.
You know what I mean? Be that damn good. So that's what happened there. So who's to say? Maybe I think that if Mississippi State loses that game, Pissgate, I'll call it. If Mississippi State loses Pissgate, they don't go to that bowl. They don't go to a bowl because they win 5 games. They don't have a linebacker knock the quarterback out and then lose to Louisville. Right?
Well, I think that was what it was, though, is both schools were prepared to fire their coaches if they lost the Egg Bowl. And then in a crazy turn of events, Moorhead somehow comes out on the winning end of that game.
Ole Miss fires their coach for losing the Egg Bowl.
Right. And then Moorhead goes on and gets blown out by Louisville.
Who was that coach?
And then he gets fired anyways.
Matt Luke was Ohio State's coach, right?
Yeah.
Or not Ohio State, Ole Miss's coach. And so he gets fired. He was an interim. I mean, I don't know. That dude's trash.
He's weird.
Ole Miss should be better than they are. Remember, both of these teams not too long ago, when Ole Miss had players they were paying, going back to the Laramie Tunsil with the gas mask bong on in the draft, like they were loaded with those dudes. Loquan.
They were awesome. Even though they were definitely cheating, they were so much fun.
They were number 1, and Mississippi State was number 2. And then I think Dak Prescott was the quarterback at Mississippi State. Yep. And so that was like 6 years ago, I guess now. But, they've fallen to the extent of both of them have new coaches. One of them's Lane Kiffin, who has failed everywhere he's went miserably.
He was good at FAU, though.
I mean, FAU, oh, man, good job, FAU. He's failed miserably as a head coach at every Power 5 school.
Yeah.
He got left on the private plane tarmac out there in USC when he was a coach there after he unceremoniously split from Tennessee. Now he gets to troll Tennessee as an Ole Miss.
It's going to be great. Well, let me ask you. So, and this gets really interesting with considering that a lot of schools missed – I mean, both these schools missed pretty much their entire spring practice. So, I mean, that's like extremely valuable, especially for first-year coaches. Losing that spring is going to hurt. And then you take a coach like Mike Leach at Mississippi State, where you have the air raid, which takes a while to get set up, especially his offense, since basically he just draws up a couple, like 7 general plays, and he says, go figure it out. And it takes you time to actually learn that system and figure it out. I mean, so which
I would
program?
argue that system's way easier to learn than anything else if you're just 4 verts all day. That's simple. You know how, again, you're showing your incompetence at math. If there's only 7 plays, there's only 7 plays to learn and different variations of those 7 plays. That's easy money right there, right? So I think Michigan.
I disagree. I think that Ole Miss is going to get the ball rolling before Mississippi State ever gets off the ground.
Why?
Just because with the air raid offense, it takes a genius quarterback time to figure out like how to make all the checks and everything. I know that it sounds simple enough. You have 7 players who are running 4 verts all day long, but the quarterbacks have to be in the system long enough to actually learn what they're doing. And if you're going to beat
players, you got 7 players running the 4 verts.
But what I'm saying is, and I do look.
It's called 4 verts. It's called 4 verts. You can't have 7 dudes running 4 verts when the play is called 4 verts. You have 4 dudes running verts.
So y'all, it sounds like y'all have had some good conversations while I was gone.
Ty, stay out of this. Basically, what I'm saying is that Mississippi State is definitely going to take way longer. Ty, you have no idea what you just missed out on.
I think Mississippi State would be fine if they stick to 4 verts. Once they start,
I like it though. I mean, I like seeing
4 players that got to stay back. You're going to get all kind of penalties.
Is it going to work though? Because Kentucky for the longest time they tried to be the contrarian in the SEC by running air raid, and it kind of worked with Tim Couch and everything. But then Mark Stoops.
The air raid works because it's easier to find a quarterback who could just fling it around to, a bunch of fast wide receivers down the field.
Like a Gardner Minshew that just comes out of nowhere.
Well, the Jaguars have told every quarterback looking to play for Jacksonville that you are unequivocally the backup to Gardner Minshew going into the season. So
that's amazing.
But you put up big numbers. Like Texas Tech runs that, right? And they put up big numbers. They had Patrick Mahomes, but they also had a bunch of non-Patrick Mahomes before him. Same thing at Washington State. They had some good guys, that were out there. I'm drawing a blank on their names. Pretty sure one of his name was Luke. But the problem with that is you're if you don't win, if you don't score, you're in trouble. You're getting blown out. If you play in inclement weather, you're getting blown out, right?
Right.
So luckily, Mississippi State probably isn't going to play in anything other than hard rain. It's not going to be like Washington State where you're playing in a blizzard and you lose to a team you could have beat and went on to the playoffs, actually.
Yeah.
But that's not here nor there. The problem with that offense is you leave your defense out on the field. So you see the scores if you're playing against another team that's good. Your defense is on the field way too many times, and it's like the offense scores, and then boom, the defense is back out again, and the game's last.
Complementary offense and defense, Dave, which is what Scott Satterfield loves.
Well, I mean, after a while, Mike Leach started really having a good defense out at Washington State, and they were able to, really put up some wins. So
Mississippi State, they might be able to do it. Yeah.
Mississippi State does a good job drafting D linemen. Like D linemen drafted. I showed you the graphic where they had all these dudes. They got Sweat, and Simmons, and all these like 9 dudes drafted over the last 7 or 8 years. So they always have good D linemen that they can rotate in. So you keep the front 7 fresh, and they can get guys. I mean, they do a good job putting players in the pros. It's the offense that was usually the problem with Mississippi State. When they had Dak Prescott, they look good, So
it'll be interesting. Let's reel it back in. Now that we have Ty back, we got to come back down to earth. Ty, welcome back. Ty, did you have anything else you wanted to say, or can we just end this?
No, I mean, the last 10 minutes, Louisville extended another offer, and a 5-star junior, Harrison Ingram, actually released his top 10, and Louisville is in that top 10. So I was tending to those matters and have some information up on the premium recruiting board. But that's it for me. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Let's get out of here. Let's just quit.
One more question before we leave.
Oh, my God.
How come basketball recruiting is basically just Louisville offered a guy and the coaches went out and watched him, but you never get any real information on?
No one really knows. I mean, that you have a good idea. I mean, you may have an idea of who leads. It's just I mean, things change. I mean, I'm sure it's the same with football, but things change just so much. It's
I put a lot of information and content underneath of the player names, and I talk to them, and I talk to coaches, and people know things. But in basketball, it's just such a different animal.
It's just because college basketball doesn't have Dave Lackford. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, man. Pay me more, and I'll get on it.
All right, guys. If you want to plug your Twitter, go ahead. But otherwise, I'm leaving.
No, I don't care. Leave me alone on Twitter.
All right. Who cares? No one's listening at this point.
Nope.
All right. All right. See you guys.
Later. All right.